Thank you, Sherry. Football fans in Houston are delighted that our city will once again have an NFL team. There were tears of joy and call-ins to sports talk shows to revel in the good news.
Houston has been awarded a new National Football League franchise.
Enron's chief Ken Lay broke the news to a crowd assembled to celebrate their United Way campaign, the Astros, and their new Enron field. He says football's return will help everyone in sports.
Having all professional sports, it does help each one of them because we have some very avid sports fans, and to have football, basketball, have baseball, have hockey, I think all of that's good for the city.
It's a great morning to be a Houston sports fan, I can tell you that.
Sports Talk Radio also crackled with excitement about Houston expanding its wide world of sports.
I'm very thrilled to see that we're going to get some football back in this town. And I got a couple nicknames to throw at you. Now I'm going to talk about the Astros, the Houston Vipers, or the Houston Hurricanes.
Even Bob McNair, the man who secured Houston's new football team, took to the radio airwaves.
I'm very optimistic that we're going to meet all these conditions. I think there's enough enthusiasm in Houston, enough support that we're going to put this thing together.
It's about time Houston brought back a football team into the city. We really needed it. It was a loss when the Oilers went to Tennessee.
I thought that the NFL bent over backwards to make sure that LA would get the team, and the fact that we've been awarded it is phenomenal. I'm very excited.
Houston deserves a football team. It's a football town, it's a football country, and it's a natural for Houston.
The only thing undecided now is what to call the new team.
I don't know, Houston Hurricanes, I guess.
That sounds good. What about you?
I really hadn't thought about it. Oh, God, I don't know. I don't have a clue. I didn't know we had a team.
Something good, something nice, different than the Oilers.
That's the only thing that we are sure of at this point. The NFL says the new team will not be called the Oilers.
Now, even though there hasn't been an official name selected for our new team, McNair says he'll be asking fans for suggestions, adding that the name should reflect our area, the culture, and provide us with a sense of pride. The McNair Group has already reserved 4 domain names: the Houston Roughnecks, the Roustabouts, the Texans, and the Toros.
We're actually in the setup stage here, and I'm on the stage, hoping that you'll come down to center stage because it's free. That's the best reason for you to come, to celebrate, of course, our new football team that will be here in 2002. We are in the area of Bayou Place and Jones Hall. If you want to come into downtown to take part in this, a good way to come would be possibly Allen Parkway. You can cut over to Bagby and then take Texas over. That's what I did. It worked for me. I pass it on to you. In the meantime, we're in the setup stage here. We're expecting thousands of people and a lot of guests. That in a moment. But in the meantime, we're all here to celebrate Houston's 32nd football team. Can you believe it? It has been 1 week since Bob McNair's group put the news on the net in the form of a website, and that is exactly where you can find all the latest and greatest info about Houston's new team, as many of you already have.
Since then, the totals were nearing 2.5 million people have hit on the website since its inception a week ago, which is a great response and just kind of adds fuel to the fire that Houston is football crazy.
And believe it or not, 42,000 people have already committed to season tickets, and we're still, what, 3 years away? That's enthusiasm for you. Now, Cambrell, I must mention to our audience that I did lobby to have you come down here today because I didn't want to have to do this all by myself. But, you know, they said somebody had to stay there and hold down the fort, so I'm sorry, buddy. Next time.
2 prominent former Oilers, including Earl Campbell, who in the last few years has tried to stay neutral on the move of the Oilers out of Houston, and Ray Childress, who's been involved in Bob McNair's early meetings for prospective investors.
I mean, I think it's fantastic for Houston to be able to have an NFL team again. I think there's great fans here in Houston. I really enjoy playing in front of them, and I'm going to enjoy watching games now.
I also hope in them doing this that maybe some of the old guys that play like myself and Bum Phillips and those kind of guys will have some kind of input on what goes on.
Charge and brought football back.
The coach who personified the glory days of Houston's first foray into the NFL was thrilled to see the game return to Houston.
Last year, when the Houston left, when Oilers left, we beat on the door. And then last year, when they started expanding, they kicked on the door. This year, McNair kicked it in.
I'm glad you didn't do your exact quote because we wouldn't have been able to use it.
I know. That's what confused me. In the middle of it, I realized I couldn't.
Yeah, we'd have had to beep that.
Yes, I know that.
And the greatest Oiler of them all wants to take an active part in Houston's new NFL team.
I thought about, gee, I hope in some capacity, to be honest. Earl Campbell would have something to say about maybe what goes on.
Have you talked to Mr. McNair about you possibly having something to do with this team?
No, I haven't, and I think those are some decisions, and I'm just one of probably a billion he got on his mind right now.
And the biggest topic of discussion downtown today was the name of the new team.
Well, probably what we'll do is maybe take 10 or so of the most popular names and maybe put those on our website and let people vote on those 10 or 15 names.